this short, sharp reminder of our true nature in this world, why we're here, what we're supposed to do, and how big of an impact it is to our destiny. And that is the reality of this life, a very small, limited time in comparison to the everlasting hereafter. Anybody who loses sight of the Akhirah, if you lose sight of your Akhirah, you are literally bankrupt. Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Jazakallah for coming. It's good to see all of you today. I've been asked to give a short nasiha. I'll try to keep it short because there's so much to talk about. The topic I've been given is to talk about preparing for Akhirah. As you all know, our deen has lots to say about the Akhirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned lots and lots of details about the Akhirah, and there's a reason for this, and this is what we want to explore. The topic of Akhirah, especially us living here in the West, how much importance do you think is given to it? Yeah. But even when it is spoken about, how much attention, how much care is it given? And it reminds me of this example that was given to me once, when if you go to the doctors and the doctor tells you, look, you need to change your diet, or you need to change this part about your health, otherwise you'll face problems. Most of the time people just ignore it and they just carry on with their lives. And then what happens is you fall into trouble, or you have a heart attack, or whatever it is, and that same doctor is now rushing you to the emergency room. And then you're there begging them, please, 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 save me, I'll change my ways, I'll change my life. But by then it's almost too late. But that's the nature of man. We're very forgetful, we're very neglectful of the advice, we're very slow to the most important things about, especially the things that our religion has told us. And it reminds me of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he was trying to give us a vision of how this life should be looked at in comparison to the next life. And he said, when you take your fingers and you dip it in the ocean, what is left of it is like this life in comparison to the next life, which is the ocean. That's how vast the next life is. And more importantly, that's how small and tiny and insignificant this life is in comparison to a life of eternity. And subhanAllah, it just makes you hit home even more when you reflect on this. Like, what are we in this life? Who are we really in this life? Because when you're alive, you are the center of the world to yourself. Some people take it to a bigger extent where they get an ego and they think they're everything. When in real truth, there'll come a time in your life where they will refer to you by the name of body. That's all you will be referred to. Remove his body from there to there, take his body from there to there, be gentle with the body, lower his body, put dirt on his body. This is who we will end up as, nothing but another body in the ground. This is the reality of this life. It will go in the blink of an eye. Maybe a year or 2 years ago, you are a certain age. If you reflect on when you were young to where you are now, how quickly has time gone by? Very, very quickly. And this is the truth, is when you get older, when you look back at this day today, you'll be saying the same. How quickly has time gone by? And that is the reality of this life. A very small, limited time in comparison to the everlasting hereafter. then why is it that we don't give the Akhirah that much attention? Why is it that we don't realize that is the place for us to invest everything in? But then the world comes along with a little bit of TV, a little bit of food, a little bit of money, and it's as if we've become blind to the reality. The reality that is to hit us, and nobody can deny. Not even the non-Muslims can deny death. Nobody can escape it. So this is what we want to focus on today, inshallah. This short, sharp reminder of our true nature in this world, why we're here, what we're supposed to do, and how big of an impact it is to our destiny. Anybody who loses sight of the Akhirah, if you lose sight of your Akhirah, you are literally bankrupt. You have nothing. Everything you will accumulate will mean nothing if you lose sight in your Akhirah. And it's even worse when you compare it to a non-Muslim lifestyle. They have no Akhirah. They don't believe in an afterlife. So because they don't believe in an afterlife, there is no hope of meeting their loved ones in the next life. There is no hope of reuniting with their families. On paper, if this life is all that they have, on paper, why would they even want to do good for somebody else? If this life is all that exists, they will only want to help themselves. Why should they? Because the person who helps somebody and the person who robs somebody end up in the same place, just worm food, dead. There is no motivation for them to want to do good if there is no afterlife, in their view. But we have been saved from that because Allah has created in man a fitra, a nature, hence why there is some love and some care towards the other fellow human beings. But on paper, their lifestyle, there is no reason to do good. There's no ultimate justice as well. Hitler killed all those people, and on the next life, there is no ultimate justice. He just gets away with it. There is no punishment. All the people who died, you can't give them justice now. So our worldview, our understanding of the Akhirah makes absolute perfect sense, and it produces harmony, it produces justice, and it produces goodness for all. And there's a verse in the Quran I want to share with you. It's from Surah Al-Imran, verse 33. وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ أَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضُ أَعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. This verse in the Quran, it says, there's a few variations. It says hasten or march forth or race towards Allah's forgiveness and paradise, as wide as which He has made wide as the heavens and the earth, prepared for the muttaqeen. This verse in itself is such a beautiful verse, and there's loads more. You can break it down into pieces, and there's loads of gems, and it's just a tiny verse. When I clicked on the tafsir, there was so much tafsir just on this verse. The first thing is, it says race. It didn't say like go out and try and get your money, go out and try and get rewards. It said race towards paradise, race towards Allah's mercy. And then on top of that, it said race all of you, meaning not singular. It's saying all of you race towards Jannah. And some of the Mufassirin, and they have said, compete with each other, all of you, for this beautiful paradise that Allah has created. And you go further on down the ayah of the Quran, it says, A'idda, meaning past tense. Allah has already created, He has already made it. He has already made Jannah, this beautiful, vast paradise. Why is He trying to tell us that it's already been made? It's like if I told you, oh look, if you do the job, I'll give you some money. Whereas if I told you, look, here's the money already, look, it's already there, it's already made. It's supposed to motivate you to want to seek Jannah. So that's one side, where Allah has created Jannah. And there's another side, where Allah has created Jahannam. And the way Allah talks about Jahannam in the Quran, He is referred to like a creature. It's like a beast, if you like. It takes angels to want to hold it. It needs thousands of angels to hold it down. It's hungry. It's thirsty. And it's for those who are rebellious, those who are disobedient. And many think, or many of the Muslims think, Jahannam isn't for me. No, it's made for everyone. Everyone can risk falling into Jahannam. Who knows what fuels Jahannam, or once can keep it fueling? Man and stone. And not only do we get descriptions of Jahannam, we get told what happens in Jahannam. You don't get just thrown in the fire. The verses and the words used is that you will be almost like roasted, if you like, over and over. You will be tormented over and over again. Your flesh will grow over and over again. This is the reality that we will all face one day. We on the day of judgment, Jahannam will be brought along with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jahannam will be there, brought by the angels. And this is something we can't escape. The day of judgment is fixed for everyone, and we will all come face to face with it. So when you want to prepare for Akhirah, there's one thing I need to clear from the get-go. You can't prepare for the Akhirah by forgetting the dunya. Does that make sense? You know when people say, focus on your Akhirah, prioritize your Akhirah over your dunya. To some extent, in a context that makes sense. But what do I mean by you can't forget the dunya if you want to get Akhirah? Did Islam come for the heavens? Did it come for the skies? Did it come to be in some mystical place? Or did Islam come for the world? Did Islam come to be implemented in this dunya? Did it come for us to action it? And that's exactly what I mean, that it's what we do here that will echo through eternity. Our actions in this life will have a vast impact across our eternity in the next life. That's why it is massively important that we take priority in how we reflect upon our Akhirah. It's like when you go to school, they tell you, look, if you mess up at school, you're going to be suffering all your life. You're not going to get a good job, you're going to struggle, you're going to hustle and all of this. And when you're young, you don't take that advice. But Allah has given us our whole life, young, middle and old, to rectify ourselves for the Akhirah. And this, why I say we have to reflect on the Akhirah, I say we have to really ponder upon it, is because, especially when living here in the West, they call it the uncomfortable conversation. They say it's the awkward conversation. They don't want to talk about death. They don't want to talk about what comes after life. It's not a good conversation. It's not an easy, it's a very, it's very hard for them. But for us, it's a blessing. it's a beautiful blessing. Because when you want to do good deeds, sometimes you might struggle doing good deeds. But then when you reflect upon Allah's Jannah and what He's created for you, doing that good deed becomes an easy task now. You might find it difficult from refraining from a sin. It might be hard. But then when you compare your sin to Allah's Jahannam, it becomes a lot easier to refrain, to fix yourself. And it's this, what I'm talking about, is a blessing for us. That we can use the Akhirah to better ourselves, to better our society, to better everything. But when I was thinking about this point, I came across something, and I thought there is another danger that needs to be addressed. So we live in a world where, a fancy term, capitalism, if you like, where everything's about making money, everything's about yourself, everything's about checklists, do's, and just make your money. Like, you do this task, you get money, you do this job, you get money, everything's like that. I want you to make sure this doesn't impact and overlap on us as well. For example, many might look at your, like, for example, let's take Salah, some of the basic things we do as an action. You could end up doing your Salah like a checklist. Oh, this checklist, I'm not going to Jahannam. Checklist, I've done this, I've read this, I've done this good deeds. We want to avoid that, because you don't do it like a checklist. There's more to it. It isn't like accumulating brownie points. So I was thinking, what more is there? If we do things for Jannah, if we refrain from things to stay away from Jahannam, what else is there? And I was thinking of an example, trying to find a good example to hit home, and one of the only one I found was to like football. So how many of you lot watch football or know about football or have played football? Everyone, yeah. So when I talk about this, hopefully I'm hoping you can relate. So there's some footballers, they need to work hard to make it in the list of the team. Once they've worked hard, they're on the team. There are some who want to work hard so that if they score a hat-trick, they get a bonus, or if they play better, they can go to a better club and they get more money. This is them doing it for, you can call it for money, or to stay away from harm, as in not to get dropped. But there are some football players, they do it more than that. Who's heard of the term when they say, oh, this guy, he plays with his heart on his sleeve? Or this guy is the supporters player? Or this guy, the fans love him? Or you know what, he's never going to leave Liverpool, or whatever, he's just absolutely devoted. This is, what I'm trying to say here is, they don't just do it for the money. They don't just do it because, they're going to get dropped. They do it more for a passion. They do it for a devotion. They do it for loyalty to their club, their fans, I don't know, what the little region of the country they live in. There's more to it. So in Islam, the scholars have said, one of the first starting points is to do things out of fear of Jahannam, fear of death, fear of accountability. The next level up is to do things for the love of reward, for the love of Jannah, for the yearning for paradise. And then the level above that is for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where you do things purely to seek His pleasure. And that's the level we want to be at. And some of the other scholars have added to that a little bit, saying, look, you need to have loyalty to the ummah, you need to have love for Allah and His Messenger, and you have to have complete allegiance to the Sharia. This is what I feel should be our aim, the highest, to fuel us, fuel our motivation, our energy when we do our actions. And the reason I say this, and this is massively important, is if you look at the ummah today, how many Muslims feel like I'm doing this for my club, i.e. my ummah, my loyalty to the ummah? How many people do things like a connection for the ummah? Or how many people do this like who do this for the love of the sunnah or the love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This part of our devotion is needed massively. The reason I say that, me personally, I'm tired of going through another Ramadan where we're convincing Muslims to read the Quran. I want to get to Ramadan where we're implementing the Quran. We're living under it. We're living under its blessings. We need to get to that stage, and we need some of us, the Ummah, to stand up from us to carry Islam like it was carried in the beginning. And people might start saying, Sohail, why are you taking it to politics? Why are you taking it to Sharia? Why? The Prophet ﷺ's hadith, and I think it's one of the most political hadiths there is out there, when he starts and he says, nations will come upon you and feed off you like you were a feast. And the Sahaba said, how comes? Will we be small in number? The Prophet said, no, we'll be many in number, but you'll be like the froth on the sea. And Allah will take wahan from the enemies and put it in your heart. The Sahabas asked, what is wahan? And he said, the hatred for death and love for dunya. How the Prophet took such a big political thing where nations will come and feed against you, take your resources, steal you like your oil, gas, and share you like a buffet across all the different nations like America, Britain, France, Germany, and split you apart into pieces. How the Prophet took such a big political statement and then he brought it back to this point, which is your love for this life and your hatred for death. What does it mean? It means I want us to strive for Allah's pleasure, strive for this ummah, for the Sharia. What I'm saying is I want us to realize this striving will not come without a sacrifice. You will be tested. You will, Allah says in the Quran, with your wealth, your health, all of these things, you will be tested. So why should you want to be, why don't you want to just be a general Muslim? Why do you want to put yourself into this difficulty? Allah talks about these special people. When the hadith says Islam started as something strange, so glad tidings to those strangers, i.e. the ones who bring it back. And they asked, what are the characteristics of these strangers? And they said, they will bring back, one of them was to bring back a sunnah that's been abandoned by the people. Another one was, they will correct people when they are corrupt, and the people are corrupt. These are the definitions. And on the day of judgment, they will be told to go into Jannah way before everybody else, before the prophets. The prophets will be jealous of them. They will have light shining out of them. This is what I want you to aim for. Yeah? This is what our loyalty should be for. And this is why this topic of reflecting on your Akhirah, wahan, is very important. I'll end it there, inshallah. It's supposed to be a short nasiha, but I dragged it on a bit. Jazakallah khair.